Hello folks, welcome back. I'm, as you know, Officer 1118 here again. I'm glad that you enjoyed the first three videos and hopefully you learned something from them. Now, in this fourth video, we'll be talking about the top 10 questions that's been asked over all the three videos combined. So let's get motivated, dedicated, educated.
Number 10. Does a college degree have any advantages? Well, a bachelor's degree will somewhat help you during the application process, but will help more after training. You see, the higher the education level, the more the pay. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree myself, but we all started as if we had none of these. We all get clean slates. The playing field is even for everyone. That, of course, is just during the academy training. Once you have passed your probation, they will consider your experience and your education as well as your performance. They will use all this to gauge your pay and advancement. This, of course, is going to be different for everyone, depending on how you perform on the field. Number 9. I will start training soon. What do you suggest I do now? Well, for starters, I recommend that you know your LAPD mission statement by heart and be able to recite this while doing your push-ups and sit-ups. You'll find yourself doing this a lot. You also should know your LAPD core values, at least know the titles, and memorize your LAPD phonetics, things like Adam, boy, Charles, Davids. Please note it is very, very different from the military phonetics, such as Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo. Also, start practicing your facing movements. If you guys went to CAPS, then you probably have a good idea of what that is. If you know all this on your first few weeks, it's going to be a lot easier for you. You should also start shining your boots the day you pick it up, and memorize the Code of Ethics verbatim as soon as you can. Number 8. Any tips on the written exam? Well, most of your entrance exams are written essays, so pay close attention to your grammar and sentence structure. Now think of the best answer you can possibly give to your question. Questions like, why do you want to join LAPD? Or how you reacted first in an emergency situation. And of course, how well do you work under stressful situations, and the questions alike. Also, pay attention to little things, like the instructions they give you when you walk in, such as sit on the third chair on the second table to your left. Now, this may sound like innocent instructions at first, but they could be nonetheless part of the test. Now, I'm telling you this from my personal experience, so you may encounter something a bit different, but this is a good start. Now, instead of the numbers of paragraphs that you're going to be writing, they will be looking more into the meat of your response. They want to get a good idea of who you are, how you structure your sentences and your paragraphs. They want to basically peek into your moral values, and they want to see if you're able to write proper police reports in the future. Now, don't make the fatal mistake of using big words. Don't fall into that trap. You see, if you spell these big words wrong or use it in error, it won't make you look smart. Just the opposite, in fact. They want candidates to use simple words because they want to have officers that are able to submit reports that everyone in court would easily understand, especially the jury. Also, make sure you answer all the questions in their entirety. Otherwise, they'll just disregard your response. This is very, very important in police reports. Number 7. What's a typical day schedule like in the academy? Well, you're going to receive a schedule of what you will be going through in the academy. The academy is very organized, and they want you to be ready for everything and anything that is coming your way. So let me give you a typical day in the Emerson Recruit Training Center. This is going to be one of the most common training centers you'll be attending, and please keep in mind that my experience is going to be a little different from yours because when I was there, they were experimenting with some of the events and moving some classes around. But I'm sure they figured that all by now, so you guys should be fine. Anyways, the recruit officers and we would get there around 4 to 5 a.m. We'd use that time to prep our gear, clean our uniforms, get out the lint roller, cut off any strings, and go over some study material. At 5 o'clock a.m., there are remedial classes for those of you who want to improve your performances. And at around 6 a.m., if there are no flag ceremonies, we would be given instructions for that day. It varies a lot after the drill instructor gives the morning message, but this is usually followed by either PT or class hours. Now, each class is going to be on average around 1 to 2 hours depending on the topic, and there are about 6 to 7 different classes per day. So after the classes, you go on your code 7. This is a 30-minute lunch break. Unfortunately, you'll have only about 10 minutes to eat if you're lucky. This is because you have to prep your uniforms for the next class, or maybe you just got back from a run and you have to take a shower and there's a long line. Now, this break is usually followed by some tactical instructions like baton strikes, handcuffing, jiu-jitsu, de-escalation tactics, radio broadcasting, and etc. After this, you're pretty much done for the day, and your drill instructor will give you your final instructions, including what to expect tomorrow or in the next few days, how the class performed overall, and what he expects the class to know in the future. The drill instructor, after that, is going to dismiss the class by turning it over to the class leader. And if the class leader has not set any scheduled class meetings for that day, everyone's good to go. You're all free to leave. Now, the schedules, it varies a lot after the numbers of classes, numbers of staff on board, and even the number of teams in a class. So please keep that in mind. Number 6. How does the LAPD conduct medical examinations? During your medical exam, they will collect hair samples, urine samples, they'll give you a lot of paperwork to fill out, there'll be a treadmill run, a hearing audio test, eye test, visual test, colorblind test. You also may get your immunization shots and breathing tests done there. So try to wear appropriate undergarments and rubber shoes or running shoes, whatever you feel comfortable running in. If you haven't done your psychological evaluation, they might do it in the same day as your medical exam. There are no more medical tests while training in the academy. However, don't be surprised if they make you do a random urine test, or what we like to refer to as the whiz quiz. Number 5. Do recruit officers need to have a car? The academy does not really care on how you get to and from the training centers, or whether you have a vehicle or not. They just want you to be there on time and before time. And trust me, before time is going to be so much better for you. A lot less stress and a lot less punishment. So however, having your own vehicle does give you a lot of independence and mobility. There are days when you have to move from one training center to another on the same day, and having your own means of transportation just makes your life so much easier. Now, some recruit officers out there who are able to form carpool groups early on in training also benefit from such networks. As a new recruit, you are only allowed to park in the front gates and visitors parking area of the Emerson Recruit Training Center, also known as ARTC. Now, about a month or two into your training, depending on how disciplined your class is and how you performed as a unit, you may all earn the privilege of parking inside the secured gates of ARTC. They will collect everyone's car information because all 3 of the training facilities have their own parking lots dedicated to the recruit training officers, and they just want to make sure that the vehicles parked within the facility are authorized to be there. Number 4. What is a required haircut during training, and how soon can I grow my hair back? When you're going to the interview, a bald or shaved head is not a requirement. But when they interviewed me, I wasn't bald or shaved all the way. I had really short hair. They were pretty much just stubs. However, when I got there, I looked around in the waiting room and I noticed everyone waiting for the interview had their heads shaved bald. Well, all the guys at least. So, looking around, I just felt like, geez, I'm sticking out in a bad way and for the wrong reasons. Although I was lucky enough just to get in the police academy, if I could turn back time, I would have just shaved my head, just to show them that I'm dead serious about getting this job and I had the right mindset for it. Now, a shaved head is the way to go. It's the best way, in my opinion. There's just less stuff to worry about and you'll save a ton in shampoo. Now, some drill instructors are fine with having very short hair, but I guarantee you that one of the other drill instructors walking by will notice, and your entire class may just have to pay up. Now remember, you are a unit, you are one, and therefore you will get punished as one. After the LAPD Academy, growing your hair out will all depend on your performance and how your training officer, or also known as your TO, wants it. It's just one of those things or privileges that you kind of have to earn. However, some TOs, they don't want people on the streets to know that they are working with a boot, or as they call it on TV or maybe some other places, a rookie. So they're going to ask their boot to go ahead and start growing out their hair. I am able to shave my entire head by patiently using a portable mirror and a shaving razor. Sure, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, and I do get cuts here and there, but after a couple of episodes with this task, you'll get the hang of it. So as it says in the video, throughout the training, it's zero hair for you, as in bald-headed. Only when you complete the academy training and head out to the field, you will still be bald. And when you start your watch, you're already growing your hair, and if your training officer or other officers see this down the line, They're going to start thinking you're acting salty. And trust me, you don't want to be known in the department as a salty boot. Number 3. What can a high school student do to prepare for a career in law enforcement? Well, you might want to start looking into the LAPD cadet program. Now, the LAPD cadet program makes an individual become more familiar with law enforcement and what it takes to be an officer in the LAPD. In many ways, it definitely helps. However, not a lot of people are actually aware this program exists. In fact, most of my fellow recruit officers, including myself, were never even a part of this program, but we made it just the same. So, participating in this cadet program will help you a lot, and in fact, you'll be a lot more familiar with the protocols that takes place in LAPD. You might be so well versed in it by the time you get to the academy, you could get a leadership position, such as a squad leader, for example. But remember, this is not guaranteed, and this all depends on how well you perform by the time you get to the police academy. Now, if you want more information on this, just head over to www.lapdcadets.com/join. You have to be between the ages of 13 to 18 years old to enter. So, here are some tips I would recommend for a teenager or someone in high school who's eyeing a future in law enforcement. Don't do anything stupid in high school, really. Choose your friends wisely and surround yourself with positive people that would lift you up and not drag you down. Never do drugs. If you are, stop that right now. And if your friends do drugs, stay away from them. When they do your background investigation, or your BI for short, they will talk to your previous employers, your friends, your neighbors, and even your teachers. They're going to get to know who you really are, and they will dig deep. Don't try to hide anything from them because they will find out. It's going to surprise you. Now's the time you want to start painting a good picture of yourself. Engage in sports. All my life in high school, I was in cross country. In the later half, I joined baseball and track and field. You have no idea how much this is going to help you in the 24 weeks of physical training in the police academy. And bonus points if you start doing martial arts now. Jiu-jitsu and boxing is extremely popular in the LAPD. So keep those good grades up and start building a good relationship with your teachers. Join some clubs and become an active part of your school. Remember, they are going to talk to your teachers during your background investigation. If you have college in your crosshairs, a business degree seems to be the most common choice among established LAPD officers. You don't have to take a course in criminology or law, for example, because they will teach you all those things by the time you get to the police academy. I myself have a bachelor's degree in business management and a master's degree in business administration. Remember, management equals leadership. As a cop, you will be a community leader and maybe one day a leader in your department. A station or department is run just like any other business entity. Who else could run a department better than a person who has a degree in business, experience in the field, and has leadership skills? Now, because I wanted to prepare myself mentally and physically for a career in law enforcement while in college, I trained for jiu-jitsu and firearms. I thought that this would prepare me for the academy, and it did, somewhat. I just didn't want to be a blank slate. I despised the thought of being that clueless guy or the guy that struggles a lot in the academy. I didn't want to stick out for the wrong reasons. However, practicing this early on could be a double-edged sword. Because of this, I developed somewhat bad habits while using pistols that our marksmanship instructors were not very happy about it. They like to work with blank slates because they're the easiest to teach. They just absorb all the information and they learn pretty quick. Also in the academy, they will teach you jiu-jitsu. There are certain jiu-jitsu moves that I learned from private lessons that are not allowed in LAPD because it could fall under excessive use of force. And there is, they take excessive uses of force very seriously. The problem is this. I have been doing jiu-jitsu for many years before the academy, and most of my moves were automatic thanks to muscle memory. But I got in a lot of trouble in this aspect while in the academy because if there's one thing in our body that's difficult to correct, it's muscle memory. It took me a lot of energy and time to change my moves to fit what the LAPD prescribes, and our instructors weren't always smiling at me. Your mind wants you to do things one way, but your body does it in another, thanks to your years of training. Having said that, I will leave that choice up to you. Number 2. Do we have to buy the uniforms? What do we wear on our first day of training? Well, Most of the uniform gear and accessories are for you to buy at the official LAPD supplier, also known as LAPRAC, in the Emerson Recruit Training Center. They do this for the sake of uniformity, except for your black suits. You're going to go out and get those on your own. But they'll be very informative on how you should do that. Also, if you're going to get a black suit, I recommend that you get one size bigger than you usually get, because you're going to have to be running in it, you have to do push-ups in it and sit-ups. You don't want to bend down and then suddenly you got a tear. Anyways, moving on. You're going to have to pay for most of these uniforms and paraphernalia in advance, and they'll be handed over to you on your orientation day, which again is about a week away from the first day of training. And if you don't get it that day, it's going to be delivered within the first few weeks into your training, especially your Smurf uniforms, because they still need to take your measurements. You'll most likely find yourself having to buy a few extra stuff going into the academy, especially as you move on, because you're going to see that it doesn't always last. Over time, it does wear and tear. You'll be buying more supplies as you go deeper into training and when you start receiving more certifications. Having said that, the following will be lent to you by the LAPD among others. Your riot gear, like your baton, your helmet, and a bulletproof vest. Also, your Class A uniforms. Now, your Class A uniforms are very special. You're going to be wearing this on your graduation day and when you hit the streets. You're also going to get your Sam Brown duty belt and some other pouches attached to it. You're going to get your 9mm M&P Smith & Wesson pistol and 5 magazines. You'll get a badge and your cover emblem, among other things. So, you may be using all this gear, but it does belong to the LAPD. In the beginning, it's not cheap to be a recruit, but think of these expenses as an investment towards your future career. You always want to be ready. Now, for the tie bar, it is clipped somewhere in the area between the bottom edge of your breast pocket flaps, and the length of the tie extends from the neck to the area of the duty belt, and preferably not beyond the belt. In the academy, men and women are treated the same. However, dress-wise, when it comes to women wearing the black suits, do not wear ties. Also, your hair has to be bunded up, and it is recommended that women always wear a white t-shirt underneath the white long shirt. Now, for men and women, if you have tattoos that show, it has to be covered with makeup or bandaged up to conceal it. You'll be given thorough instructions on these things before the start of training in the police academy. Now, for your boots, shine everything that you can shine, meaning all the leathery parts. In fact, to properly shine my boots, I would remove my shoelaces. If you need help on this, you'll find a lot of tutorials on YouTube. Just don't be tempted to have it professionally shined in the beginning. A lot of drill instructors are actually trained to spot it. So you don't want to be doing push-ups just because you got it professionally shined. They don't want anyone taking the easy way out. It's a privilege you must earn. Now, after a few days of working on your boots, you will realize that even if you shine all the leathery parts on your boots, the toe and heel areas are actually the only parts that will shine like a mirror. But I assure you, they will look at everything. So try to make it a habit to not selectively polish. And finally, the most popular question, number 1. Is it necessary to join CAPS, and how is a PFQ conducted? The physical fitness qualification test is push-ups, sit-ups, and the 1.5-mile run. For your push-ups, you will have exactly 1 full minute to do as many push-ups as you can. If your knee touches the ground at any point, you are done. So know that there is a specific way they want this done. You have to do LAPD push-ups. They will give you a partner, and that partner will lay down in front of you and make a fist on the floor. You will then position yourself in a way that centers your sternum to your partner's fist. The push-up now will only count if your sternum touches your partner's fist when you go down. And then when you go up, you have to extend all the way up to the point where your elbows are locked out. Now for your sit-ups, just like the push-ups, you have 1 full minute, and there's a specific way they have this done. You must cross your arms and grab your shirt by each shoulder. If at any point your hands come uncrossed or you lose one of your grips from your shirt, you are done. Any more sit-ups after that will not count. There are officers walking around watching you, and they will see this, so have some integrity. The sit-ups will also only count when you go down and your whole back hits the floor. And then when you go up, your elbows does not only touch your knees, but it goes past your knees as well. So make sure you're passing your knees. That's very important. You will also have a partner kneeling down in front of you holding onto your shoes so you're more stable. Now feel free to ask them to put more pressure or adjust their grips as you see fit. For your run, your instructors will give you detailed instructions on how to do this, so pay very close attention and don't let them repeat themselves, because there's always that one recruit officer asking questions. Don't be that person. Now you're going to run with the whole class, with all your fellow recruit officers. So it's going to be a little crowded and they don't want people bumping into each other. So they're going to say rabbits to the front, turtles to the back. This is what my instructor said, and this meant faster runners, head over to the front. Slow runners, head over to the back. If you're average, stay in the middle. Now every time you complete a lap, you will have to announce it with command presence. For example, you just finished your first lap. You will say, 1 sir, or 1 ma'am. On your second lap, 2 sir, or 2 ma'am, depending on who's there. And you go on and so forth with that. Now when someone's going to pass you, you're going to hear guide right. This is them telling you, I'm right behind you and I'm closing in. I want you to move 1 lane over to your right so I don't run into you. Now by your final lap, when you're about 50 to 100 meters away, raise one arm up high. The instructors will see this and they will know that you're about to finish a run. They will be ready then to call out your time when you cross the finish line. Now some instructors may be a little different and they're just going to say, I want you to yell out time, time, time when you're about to finish. So, as I said before, listen to them. Now when you finish, remember your time and quickly get off the track. If other instructors are there, they're going to help you get water and you have to walk around in a circle to cool down with a group. Now as long as your score is above 50 on the PFQ, you are good. 50 and above is good, 49 and lower is not so good. Now, I can't give you guys good benchmarks because the academy will also factor in your age, your height, and the percentage of body fat into your score. So they're going to go a little easier on you if you're older, but if you're 18, be warned, they are expecting high marks. So focus on your running, your push-ups, and your sit-ups, because that's pretty much the PFQ and the bulk of the academy workouts. If you're not good at one of those tests, that's fine. Your push-ups and sit-ups could carry your running score if you want. And the instructors, they're not expecting everyone to excel in every category. They just want you to train yourself, to see your limits. They want to have you do as many push-ups and sit-ups as you can in 1 minute. And they just want to see some determination. If you're having trouble, when you get out of bed first thing in the morning, why don't you just do some push-ups and sit-ups for 1 minute so you just get into the habit of it. This can start building up some good habits for you. As for your running, just time yourself for every 2 miles you run. Or you can try to make it fun. You could try to make it fun and run with friends. That's exactly what I did. Now, the runs in the beginning of the academy will vary upon the instructors you get. In my case, my instructor liked to run laps uphill and downhill in groups of 4 when we were running with the class. Later on, we went to about 3-mile runs in formation with the whole class. Now, as you progress in the academy, you will perform longer runs. During the runs, you will also be popped quiz on what you have been taught so far. And the instructors, they do talk to each other. They know exactly what you have and have not learned already. So, make sure you're studying hard. Make sure you're paying close attention in class, taking good notes, and you're getting down the basics, like the LAPD mission statement and the LAPD core values. These are some things that they like to test you on constantly. Now, I believe that long distance running will serve you better than long distance hiking. Regarding timed mile runs, aim for 10 minutes or less per mile and a half. So think 10 minutes every 1.5 miles. Now don't forget that each is judged individually with consideration to their age, weight, and body mass. Some of my fellow recruit officers weren't as good in running, but they made up for it incredibly well with their push-ups and sit-ups. Some candidates who feel that they have a weakness in one of those 3 exercises will just try just to excel on the other 2 that they are good at, just so they can carry their overall score. Now, I recommend you practice on all 3, but if you want to practice on all 2, that's your call. they don't expect perfection, but they do want to see your determination, as I stated before. Now, I did a couple of days of training and I took my physical fitness qualification test for the first time. But I didn't really eat that much that day, and I was a bit tired by the time I got there. And to my surprise, I still didn't do very well. I think my score was about 44, 45, and if I took that in the LAPD, that would be considered failing. Some people would say that the background investigator won't even look at your score if you're not above 50, but I don't know if that's true. So when I got that score, I was a bit disappointed with myself, and I knew I wasn't ready. So what I did was I trained on a more personal basis. I trained outside of CAPS, and then I did CAPS every Tuesday and Thursday at Elysian Park for about 3 months. When I felt ready, I took the physical fitness qualification test on the PFQ, and I passed. I got around 60 something. And when I got to the academy, I remember I scored around 80. So, continuous improvement, guys. And remember, when you are in front of the oral interview board, your CAP performance is one of the first things they will look at. Now, CAPS is not mandatory, but I highly, highly recommend it because it will give you an edge during the interview process. They will see how determined you are and how well you have been improving. Like I always said, this is just one of the first things they look at during your time with the oral board. It's fine to take the PFQ before attending CAPS. In fact, this is what I personally did. But if you're not satisfied with your initial score, you can always try again to better yourself for the next PFQ.
So there you folks have it, the top 10 LAPD Academy questions. Now I would like to thank everyone who has asked these questions, and I encourage even more of you to start asking questions so that we can help successfully educate all potential recruit officers out there that are interested. Now, I hope that you guys have picked up something from this video for your journey towards law enforcement. I wish you guys all the best, and remember, it's all about lifetime fitness, not just academy fitness. This is Officer 1118 signing out. Good luck.